The year is 1816, but something is wrong with the world. In New England, a bitter, killing frost arrives in the middle of July. In Switzerland, the rain is endless, forcing a group of friends to spend their summer indoors, telling ghost stories. In Ireland, a failed potato crop begins a devastating famine. This was the year 1816, remembered in the bleak pages of history as the year without a summer. It was a time of darkness, of famine, and of fear. For the people living through it, it felt like an apocalypse. They had no idea that the cause of their suffering was not an act of God, but a cataclysmic event that had already happened a year earlier on the other side of the planet. In North America, the spring of 1816 was deceptively normal. But then came May, with a hard frost that destroyed the buds. In June, a massive snowstorm blanketed New England and Quebec, with reports of nearly a foot of snow in some areas. The summer months brought no relief. Every month had a hard, crop-killing frost. The corn harvest was a total failure. Farmers who had planted their life savings in the soil watched it all wither and die. It was called the Poverty Year, a time so desperate it sparked one of the great migrations westward, as families abandoned their frozen farms in search of a better life. Across the Atlantic, Europe was suffering just as much, if not more. The continent was drenched in endless, cold rain. The river Rhine flooded its banks. In Switzerland, the perpetual gloom was so profound that it inspired a new kind of horror. Trapped indoors by the dismal weather, a young Mary Shelley conceived the story of Frankenstein. Her friend, Lord Byron, penned a bleak poem called Darkness, writing, "I had a dream, which was not all a dream. The bright sun was extinguished." For most, however, there was no time for poetry. In Germany, the price of grain skyrocketed, leading to riots and starvation. In Ireland, the failed harvest led to famine and a typhus epidemic that would kill tens of thousands. The world was starving, and no one knew why. To find the cause, we must travel back 1 year, to April of 1815, to the island of Sumbawa in the Dutch East Indies, now Indonesia. Here stood Mount Tambora, a majestic, 14,000-foot volcano, one of the tallest peaks in the archipelago. On April 5th, it began to rumble. But this was just a prelude. On the evening of April 10th, Mount Tambora erupted with a force that defies modern comprehension. It was the most powerful volcanic eruption in recorded human history. The explosion was 1,000 times more powerful than the bomb at Hiroshima and 4 times larger than the famous Krakatoa eruption of 1883. The sound was heard over 1,600 miles away. For 3 days, a column of ash, rock, and gas blasted 25 miles high into the stratosphere, plunging an area of 300 miles around it into total darkness. Pyroclastic flows, superheated avalanches of gas and rock, raced down the mountainside at hundreds of miles per hour, incinerating everything in their path. The entire kingdom of Tambora, with its 10,000 people, was wiped from the face of the earth in an instant. The eruption triggered massive tsunamis, and rafts of floating pumice stone, miles wide, created a hazard for ships across the region. In total, the eruption and its immediate aftermath killed nearly 100,000 people locally. But its deadliest work was yet to come. The mystery of the year without a summer lies in what happened next, high up in the atmosphere. Tambora didn't just eject ash. It blasted over 60 million tons of sulfur dioxide into the stratosphere. Up there, far above the clouds and weather, the gas combined with water vapor to form a fine mist of sulfuric acid aerosol. This created a dry, reflective fog, a veil that wrapped itself around the entire globe. This veil acted like a mirror, reflecting a portion of the sun's light and heat back into space before it could reach the surface. The result was a global drop in temperature, an average of about 3 degrees Celsius in some areas. It may not sound like much, but it was enough to completely disrupt the world's climate systems, shortening growing seasons and causing catastrophic weather events across the northern hemisphere. It was a volcanic winter. The legacy of this dark year is surprisingly profound. The gloomy weather inspired Gothic horror. The spectacular, Ash-filled sunsets inspired the vibrant paintings of artist J.M.W. Turner. The lack of oats to feed horses, due to crop failures, spurred a German inventor named Karl Drees to create a new form of transportation, the running machine, a direct ancestor of the modern bicycle. It took scientists over a century to definitively connect the weather of 1816 to the eruption of 1815. The mystery was solved, but it left us with a chilling warning. The Carrington event of 1859 showed us how the sun could destroy our technology. The Tambora eruption shows us how the Earth itself can do the same to our food supply. A Tambora-level eruption today would be a global catastrophe, causing worldwide crop failures and threatening the stability of our interconnected civilization. The question is not if another super-eruption will happen, but when. The year without a summer is a stark and terrifying reminder of the immense power of our planet and how fragile our world truly is.